The Lane Project opened its doors in January of 2008 with the mission of helping families transition as their family dynamics change. That continues to be our mission today. However, in July of 2020, we opened a new facility. We noticed through the years that people feel like they are shamed to have to utilize our services. We became more and more perplexed as to why this is possibly so. The reality is people feel judged generally when they get help. Here at the Lane Project, we like to trade judgment for curiosity, and we welcome clients into our home. We want them to pause, breathe, focus, and smile. In the event we as humans try to go at it alone, it only deprives our children of the opportunity for success. Co-parenting is not an innate skill. Getting help should be viewed as a badge of honor, not a badge of shame. We are not meant to tackle life alone, and here at the Lane Project, we're here to help. When you walk in our doors, it's supposed to be an experience where you could trade judgment for curiosity and see obstacles as opportunities. We welcome our clients with open arms. We offer a myriad array of courses, therapy, coaching, and other programs to help families and their children transition as their family dynamics change, as well as teach them resiliency and various social-emotional skills and coaching. Children are by nature very egotistical beings, and they oftentimes blame themselves for family discord. Here at the Lane Project, we try to comfort these children and take those stressors away, help them understand that their feelings are legitimate, and we help to build their resiliency and help them to feel all their feels. It takes courage to ask for help, and here at the Lane Project, we guarantee you'll be met with compassion, grace, and acknowledgement as you develop tools and techniques to nurture and transition your family to whatever new form it takes. Here, I'm going to take the opportunity to give you a tour of our new home. We hope you enjoyed the tour of our new facility. We sure did pour a lot of care and love into it as we built it, and we hope that our clients and others can enjoy it when they come in the doors. We really want to meet our clients with care and compassion, and we go to great extremes to do so. We greet them with invitations for drinks or snacks or whatever will help to take them out of fight, flight, or freeze. Because if we can remove them from fight, flight, or freeze and ensure they don't feel judged, they can open their minds and hearts to accept the guidance and coaching we're providing them. All families are completely different. There is no family that is the same. We truly believe here at the Lane Project, there is no such thing as a cookie cutter solution, and all our programs are created to provide some variation to best meet each individual family's needs.
Because there's not a cookie cutter solution to address family needs and dynamics, the Lane Project has developed multiple different services to address some of the needs we see walking in the door. We've created this slide just to kind of demonstrate what the level of service intensity is, from least invasive to pretty intense level of service all the way down at therapy. We're offering everything from supervised exchanges to individualized parenting education programs, all the way through the gamut down to therapy to try to best address the family's needs as they're walking in the door.
During COVID, our staff at the Lane Project certainly did not sit still, and our creativity soared. Through that time, we created several new programs, and we're going to discuss them at this time. The first program I'm going to discuss with you is the PAWS, Strengthening Family Cohesion Program. I originally had the idea for this program in November of 2019, and then life got in the way. But when COVID hit, I truly had the opportunity to pause and really think on this and realized how truly necessary it was. The Lane Project was created in 2008. We have provided numerous thousands of hours of supervised parenting time. And the more that I looked at the supervised parenting time program, and the more that I heard parents complain that 2, 3, 4 hours of supervised parenting time per week was not enough to truly impact their child, the more I realized there was a strong need for the PAWS program. The reality is that many of these parents receiving supervised parenting time have spent more quality, hands-on attunement with their child during those hours than I have with my own children in a full week. Why? Because life gets in the way. The hustle and the bustle, the doing work, the cleaning the house, the washing the dishes, the schedules, etc. So often we do not take time to pause and simply be with our children. Our children are much more likely to grow into happy, healthy adults if we can take that pause and be a positive influence in their lives. Throughout COVID, I have encountered and been able to observe my children learning about social emotional intelligence in the classroom. The reality, unfortunately, is we as parents, when we were younger, were not taught these skills of social emotional intelligence. So the more the teachers try, that we're not being successful. Why? Because these children come home and inadvertently we as parents are undermining these efforts. Have you ever told your children, calm down, screaming at them when you yourself cannot even demonstrate calm down in your tone of voice? We must learn to model social emotional intelligence for our children. So throughout the PAWS program, we learn social emotional intelligence side by side with our children. The idea of the pause, breathe, focus, and the idea of the PAWS program is a technique of pause, where pause is defined as to interrupt temporarily an activity before continuing. So when you walk into the Lane Project doors, to participate in the pause program. We are truly temporarily interrupting our lives to simply breathe, get us out of fight, flight, or freeze, and be able to simply relax. Then we focus. We focus on all the opportunities the present moment offers, trading judgment for curiosity, and learning social emotional intelligence skills side by side our children. And last but not least, we smile. So the pause program includes a mindful moment, acknowledgments. Throughout the years, I have discovered, wow, the true power of acknowledgments. And when our children feel acknowledged, or when we feel acknowledged, it truly motivates change. And through the pause program, we really take that on. We do a blank sheet of paper and a beginner's mind journal activity. We do an educational presentation on social emotional intelligence that runs about an hour long. We do different various activities. I'm leading the program, and then I have 2 pause coaches who help assist throughout the program as we tailor different activities to meet each family's needs. We offer acknowledgments as coaches. We do the loving kindness meditation. Breaking of the bread is a fun snack, whether that's Kona ice truck coming or cake pops or a chocolate fountain, something very fun and memorable for the family. And last but not least, being intentional about having some fun, whether that's a science guide coming in, Pino's palette, and we're painting, or we're doing a mystery theater activity. Many different things will be offered throughout the entire program. So we really can just really enjoy fun as a family. So to start off the program, there is an initial family coaching session. And within that session, we work with the family, a pause coach or myself, to create a family charter and really identify our individual family's values, as well as create a family intention. We will be reminded of that family intention throughout the year-long program. And before leaving our office during the day of the initial family coaching session, the parents and the children will make an intention bracelet. We do have our monthly sessions that run 2.5 hours. Those are offered once a month, and this is a year-long program. A pause coach will virtually check in with your family at least once per month to check on your progress of your intention and that your family's being true to the intention, as well as check on the social emotional intelligence skills that you have been learning and explore how you've been implementing those into your household. At the end or throughout the program, if your family is really enjoying the pause coach interventions throughout the month, you can also request some additional optional coaching sessions.
All right, BH2O is our program that, we've labeled because we talk with our co-parents who come in for intakes about being water. Research indicates that the duration and degree of parental conflict is the greatest indicator of children's ability to be healthy and well adjusted. And this program is aimed at reducing that parental conflict. What I was finding is that as parents would come in for intakes, they would say, well, nothing's going to change because my co-parent won't change. My co-parent's going to keep acting the same way. And the way that I would describe our program approach was, if all of the bad things that your co-parent does is like them out there lighting a bonfire, and you come up to that bonfire like a can of gasoline, then the fire that burns your children is both of your fault. If I can teach you how to be a bucket of water, then it doesn't matter what your co-parent is doing. And so that's kind of the philosophy underneath the program that we're running. I'm the therapeutic portion, and obviously Trina is the legal portion. So we bring all of our experience and training from both of those disciplines into facilitating this program. We're aiming to teach parents how to communicate more productively, how to solve problems, how to reduce some of the conflict. I will often tell parents, I'm not here to teach you how to agree, but how to functionally disagree. The program really puts the focus back onto the kids instead of parents being self-focused and worrying about how things feel for themselves. We're really asking them to look at it from the children's perspective and understand how all of their actions, verbal, nonverbal, not getting along, even sitting on different sides of an activity might impact the children emotionally and functionally. The BH2O program is a 16-week program that is split out into various different types of weekly services, all the way from group sessions where we have all of the parents together in a room and they're being taught psychoeducation skills by Trina and myself. And then the weeks in between, they come in and they work with me for a joint session, which looks a lot like a structured co-parenting therapy. So one week they'll come to group, the next week they go to joint, then they'll come to group and to joint through 16 weeks. In there, they have 2 individual sessions that they meet with me working on specific skills and talking about how they might create change on their own. During weeks 14 and 15, we're working on a co-parenting contract. After they've evaluated the issues with their communication and their boundaries and things that aren't working in their relationship, they actually develop an agreement what they're going to do differently moving forward. We bring the children in and they present that contract to the kids, basically making a promise to create some change. No matter what they're coming in for, you're going to see these 5 things that'll be present for them as they walk in the door. We ask parents to start with a mindful moment to let the stress of the day go and center themselves so that they're ready to receive the information they're going to be getting. Then they journal on 4 different topics each and every week, trying to evaluate where they're at that week and how some of the learning is impacting the way they're thinking about things. Whether it's a joint session, individual, or group session, you're going to see a psychoeducation and skill development fact piece. And then we have acknowledgments. During the group classes, we will acknowledge them. During the joint sessions, I ask that they acknowledge one another. And then we end with a loving kindness meditation where they have a positive mantra, not just for themselves, but also for their co-parent. So we've broken the program out into basically like 3 different pieces. The first 8 weeks is a whole lot of education around how what you're doing is impacting your child. And looking at how different behaviors and whatnot might have a negative impact and you might not have realized it. The next 3 weeks, weeks 9 through 12, we're going to be looking at communication and boundaries and some of the barriers that might be present. And then 13 through 16, we're really implementing some of the skills and things that we want to implement into that relationship to create change so the children can have more of a quality of life.
Another group that we offer is key frames. So in the BEH2O curriculum, the parents actually attend together. In the key frame psychoeducational group, support group, the parents do not attend together. They're each assigned to a different group. Parents can attend BEH2O simultaneously with key frame. They can attend key frame on its own. And they can start key frame at any point in time. It is a 16-week program, but you could start at, say, the 4th week, and then you will just go through the 16 weeks on your own accord. Everyone before starting the key frame program will have an initial intake appointment. Why did we decide to do the key frame program? Well, parenting is hard and kids don't come with a blueprint. There's so many things that go into co-parenting that we felt that it would be entirely helpful for parents to come together and be able to process these things within a group of individuals that have gone through similar situations and obtain the support of that group. This group will include people that have a conflictual co-parenting relationship to an amicable co-parenting relationship. It also can even include step parents. Now, there are 16 different topics that are addressed throughout the group. Some examples of those are: what kind of parent are you? Communicating with your child about the current situation, acknowledging your co-parent's new life and accepting that, responding to your child's behaviors. When your child goes to their co-parent, how you handle that. When your child takes over family dynamics. Those are just some of the examples of topics that we go through during this 16-week program.
Trina, I have a question.
Yes.
With Keyframe, do people then have to do it like BH2O is 16 straight weeks, or can people just join whenever, or?
People can join whenever. So they will join and they'll have their initial intake. So if they joined at week 4, let's say, then they would go through 4 through 16, and then they would loop around and do 1, 2, and 3, so that they're having all 16 sessions, but they do not have to be consecutive like they do in BEH2O. So we could start a group, say, with 3 participants and keep adding participants as we go, but we'll also lose some participants as they finish the curriculum.
Okay.
Lokahi is very similar in that same nature. It is a 16-week program, but participants can begin at any time. They will do an intake with one of the Lokahi group leaders, and so that we can individually get to know each child. And it is offered at 3 different age groups, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, and 13 to 17. So Lokahi is a Hawaiian word for unity. And our group is the Ohana Lokahi, which means we're a united family. So much like the idea of Keyframe, sitting with a group of peers who are going through the same situation, going through the Lokahi program offers some sense of legitimacy for these children's emotions, that they're not going at it alone, that other people, other individuals, other kids their age are going at this themselves as well. So they're not standing alone. And they can bounce ideas off of one another while they're guided through the curriculum. So there are different topics that are discussed, such as depression, such as confusion. I have so many guardian ad litem kiddos that are just simply confused, and that is okay. So we offer legitimacy for that confusion. Grief is discussed throughout the program. There are different, with each topic, there is an accompanying story that is age appropriate. It's a character strip, or it is a comic strip, if you will, but it is a live comic strip. Imagine like Captain Underpants on TV. But there are different characters. So there is the Aloha Spirit. There's Talkie Tiki, Bobby Boomerang, Nalu the Wave, as we ride our waves of emotion. But throughout the program, these characters help tell the story of how to manage depression, how to manage confusion, how to deal with that. In addition, at the beginning of each group, there is an Aloha check-in where the participants fill out a questionnaire privately on their own about how their week has gone, how they felt, what were their struggles, and then they submit that to the group lead. So the group lead has all this information at the beginning of our group. So interestingly enough, these topics and ideas can be brought into group discussions without the children having to be on the hot spot. So their immediate issues can be generally discussed throughout the group. The group is 90 minutes. So at the beginning, there is that snack, there's that Aloha check-in, and then we go through the group, the topic and discussions and various different activities. And like I said, in Keyframe, just similar to Keyframe, participants can join at any time. They just go through the 16-week program. So now those are our 4 groups, but we offer a wide array of other services that we're going to go into discussion about now. The first that I'm going to talk about is case management. So case management is generally court ordered. Well, it is court ordered. And those are the super high conflict cases where mom and dad have gone back to court so many times that eventually the judge throws up their hands and says, I'm not coming, you guys cannot come to court anymore on any motions. Instead, you have to try to resolve absolutely everything through the case manager. If the case manager cannot resolve it, then the case manager can make recommendations and either party can file an objection to those recommendations. All our case managers are trained as case managers and have a background in law, which they are practicing attorneys or previously were practicing attorneys, but also have education on family development. A case manager can make recommendations as to changes in parenting time, changes in custody, things in that regard. However, parent coordination is the next step down. Parent coordination does not have to be court ordered. Parties can agree to participate in parent coordination. Parent coordinator does not have the authority that a case manager does and does not have to have a background in the law. A parent coordinator, the glory of parent coordination is we get to provide some psychoeducation in the parent coordination process in working with the parents to try to resolve conflicts. However, the parent coordinator does not have it hanging over their head that they can make recommendations for a change in custody or parenting time, which then results, in my experience, of the participants truly engaging in the process as opposed to advocating their position. Mediation, we offer mediation, and that is when a neutral third party meets with the parents, and at some point we can also do child inclusive mediation if the parties agree that it would be in everyone's best interest to have the child participate. This could be the child could meet with the mediator, him or herself, or the child could meet with another one of our professionals in the office, and then that professional could join the mediation process. But the child does not sit down with mom and dad and the mediator and mediate per se on the hot seat. It's more the child's point of view is brought into the mediation session. Mediation is 100% confidential, so if the parties cannot agree in mediation, then the only thing that can be shared is that the parties did not reach an agreement. If the parties can agree during the mediation process, the mediator will journalize this agreement and submit it either to the court or to the parties' counsel. Co-parenting and divorce coaching. I have been practicing law since 2003, and throughout that time, I have been practicing guardian ad litem appointment work. And generally, I step in, I meet with the kids, I meet with the parents, and I ultimately make recommendations to all the parties and the court. And a great deal of the time, those recommendations are either accepted and agreed upon by the parties, or in the alternative, some form of those generally are adopted by the courts. What my ultimate frustration has become over the years is inevitably these parents oftentimes find themselves back in court, and I'm being reappointed the guardian ad litem again. So in essence, though I've made recommendations, I really have not effectuated change for these families. So my heart is truly in this for these children, but without working with the parents and truly understanding these reasons behind recommendations and teaching them to find what's best for their children on their own, I have learned that I really cannot effectuate true deep change. I can put a Band-Aid on it, I can minimize the harm to children, but if I really want to impact true change with these families, I have to assist them in coming through to their conclusions on their own. And so as a divorce coach, through questioning, I help parents find the answers. I truly, truly believe that all parents deep down, if we can get through the muck and the resentment and the dirty lenses, we can truly help them to find what is in the best interest of the children. But it really, really takes work. So in describing co-parenting coaching, I think of it like a butterfly that is in a cocoon. And if we help that butterfly get out of its cocoon too soon, it will not be able to fly. So the coaching process is helping parents find the answers on their own. So the next time conflict arises, they'll be able to work through that. So through our individualized co-parenting coaching, we help parents do that. That whole thought process also is really the guiding light within all of our groups as well. Co-parenting and divorce coaching individually can be very expensive. I charge $200 to $250 an hour for co-parenting coaching. So I created another alternative called Fill Your Bucket Group Co-parenting Coaching. And what this is it's group coaching. So we have the same beauty of the divorce or co-parenting coaching that we just talked about, but it is a weekly group that no more than 6 participants are in, that we join together, and I offer co-parenting coaching once a week to that group. The Lane Project also does child custody evaluations and limited custody evaluations. These are court ordered, and they are, we have a licensed master's level mental health professional or higher who is also trained in doing child custody evaluations duties. Now, the Kansas statutes do not provide any guidelines for who can be qualified as a child custody evaluator. That's why the Lane Project went to the AFCC guidelines, as well as the APA guidelines and NASW guidelines on child custody evaluators. And all of our evaluations are pursuant to those guidelines. The child custody evaluations are anywhere from 25 to 35 hours of work, in which we meet with the parents individually and jointly. We meet with the children, we talk to third parties, and we make recommendations as to the pending issues. So each parent may have a different question that they want answered as a part of that custody evaluation process. Generally, of course, they're wanting parenting time addressed, custody addressed, but they may be wondering, how is their child really adjusting? Is therapy recommended, etc.? And what recommendations do you have for how we might be better able to co-parent? Those can be pieces that we also address in the child custody evaluations. The limited custody evaluations are not as labor intensive and does not always involve third-party collateral contacts. We do meet with the parents and the children. Those are only 10 to 15 hours of work, and they are very targeted. So should the child change schools would be great for a limited custody evaluation. Should the child change doctors, and should one parent have sole decision making in reference to medical needs? Those could be topics for limited custody evaluation. They're very, very succinct and do not require as thorough of an investigation as the child custody investigation. Child custody consultations is a program that I created because I think parents really, really deep down want to do what's best for their children, but oftentimes are just blinded by the past, and they need a little bit of guidance. And neither mom is going to be too gung-ho on accepting what dad has to say, and dad's not going to be too gung-ho on accepting what mom has to say. But if a third-party professional who is very well versed in these sorts of situations could individually speak with mom and dad, could speak with the child and weigh in, we could potentially create and resolve parenting plans that are tailored to this individual family without having to utilize a guardian ad litem or without having to utilize a custody evaluator. We can really cut down the cost and the duration of these divorce proceedings. Child custody consultations are not court ordered. These are voluntary, and the parents would, through their attorneys or individually, agree to utilize the child custody consultant framework.
So any of our following supervised services can either be court-ordered or voluntary, of course. We're going to start with supervised parenting time. If you know the Lane Project, you definitely know supervised exchanges and supervised parenting time. Supervised parenting time could be anywhere from 1 to 6 hours in length. And what we do is do staggered start and stop times, where the custodial parent will drop the children off with the staff member. They'll be there for 10 minutes. The visiting parent arrives, and then they leave 10 minutes before the visit ends so that the custodial parent can pick up at the visit end time, so there is no crossover between parents that should not be interacting. Supervised parenting time can occur here at the agency, in the community, or in a person's home. We definitely like to be able to observe what that interaction looks like here in the agency before we look at doing anything else. Assuming everything is going well and the 78 rules that govern this service are being followed, what we will do is evaluate them for appropriateness for community visits. And if it's determined that they can move in-home, what we will do is go do an in-home walkthrough before we approve for the visits to begin happening in the visiting parent's home. We also do monitored parenting time. So if a person has been doing supervised parenting time, or the court does not deem that they need to have the whole entire parenting time supervised, our staff can go ahead and drop in wherever they are, if that's in the community, if that's in their home. We're there for 20 to 30 minutes. We take notes, and we can provide reports around both of those different services.
Naomi, what sets the Lane Project apart from other agencies in relation to our supervisors for supervised parenting time?
I'm sorry, Trina, was that a question?
Yes. What sets us apart?
Gotcha. So if you look around in the nation, anyone else that is providing supervised parenting time or supervised exchanges, there's literally no criteria on qualifications, background, education that a person has to have in order to be a parenting time supervisor. What we look for here at the Lane Project, or not look for, but what we demand of our staff is that they're a licensed bachelor level social worker in the state of Kansas or higher. We do allow our master's level social work interns to provide supervised parenting time during their second semester, but only under the supervision of a clinically licensed social worker. So we have pretty high expectations of our staff and require that they are licensed and educated in being able to help with family dynamic.
Thank you, Naomi.
You're welcome, Trina. That was a good question. Thank you for asking. What we can also do is monitored phone contact, and this actually looks like that same licensed staff is monitoring and documenting what is occurring on a family's phone calls, but also FaceTime or Zoom. So if a family member lives pretty far away and they want to still see the children on FaceTime, but there's concerns, our staff can assist by going ahead and monitoring those phone calls or Zooms for families. And then there's supervised exchanges. Again, if you know the Lane Project, you know supervised exchanges. Pre-COVID, or I guess under normal circumstances in a normal world, one parent will drop the children off with the staff. They'll be with the staff for 15 minutes, and then the other parent picks up. During COVID, we've had to alter that some, and so what will happen is one parent will arrive at the front of the building, the other parent arrives at the side of the building. The parent dropping off will leave the child with the staff, then they have to leave, and then the staff walks the child back to the parent that's picking up. So parents are arriving in the location at the same time, but in separate places to minimize the chance that they're going to have any interactions. And all of those services I described can have a court report that are attached to them. Therapy and therapeutic supervised services. I might know a thing about that. The Lane Project specializes in working with high conflict divorce and custody cases, obviously, and so do our therapists. Our therapists are all versed in being court-ordered and court-involved therapists. We work with families, providing co-parenting therapy, family therapy, individual therapy, and reintegration therapy. When you have a case where a child is resisting or refusing contact with a parent, or there's some suspicion of alienation or some estrangement that's going on there, our therapists will work with all of the different people that are involved there to try to rebuild some of that relationship. We utilize motivational interviewing, cognitive behavioral therapy, and narrative therapy in our work. Sorry, Trina, thank you for going backward. And also play therapy interventions as we're treating families. Moving along. Therapeutic supervised parenting time is this beautiful hybrid service that we've created. It's somewhere in between therapy and supervised parenting time. Therapeutic supervised parenting time must be provided by a person that is a licensed master social worker under clinical supervision or a clinically licensed social worker. It does have a treatment plan that's attached to it and lower end goals for building family bonding, attachment, and cohesion. What you will see at the beginning is that it will look a whole lot like therapy, with the therapist intervening to provide activities, and then also do redirections in the middle of the service so that families, like maybe parents, are doing a better job interacting with their children. But then as parents do a better job, you'll see that therapeutic supervised parenting time begins to look a whole lot more like supervised parenting time, where the therapist is not interacting as much. And so when it starts looking like that, it means we're making some progress. So it's kind of this beautiful middle ground between supervised parenting time, where the staff does not interact unless they're promoting safety or redirecting to get a policy followed, versus therapy, where the therapist is obviously extremely interactive. What we were finding is that a lot of times, people were referring families over for supervised parenting time or therapy or therapeutic supervised parenting time. And as we started talking about the different services, A, we're hearing that people did not know they existed, and B, we were seeing families coming in for services that maybe they weren't most appropriate for. So what we do is what we call an assessment for services, where a licensed master social worker or higher is going to assess the family needs, meet with mom, meet with dad, meet with the kids, and determine which of the services is most appropriate for where they're at and what they need. At that point, they can write a report to the court and offer their recommendations. What we do that's great for the family is, let's say that they were recommended to go into therapy, or they were recommended to go into therapeutic supervised parenting time. Their assessment for services hour counts as their intake, so they don't get charged for that again. We can simply move the psychosocial assessment on over to whatever service they start with, so they're not double charged. We also do parenting assessments, where we have a licensed mental health professional that's going to look at parenting strengths, limitations, how a parent is engaging with others, what those relationships look like, and be able to offer some direction as to how that parent might improve relationship functioning, bonding, attachment, things of that nature. So all of those services that I just discussed obviously can have some report to the court that can be written and submitted.
In addition to the parenting assessment, something that the Lane Project also does, which we inadvertently failed to include a slide on, is our Individualized Parent Education Program, IPEP. And this is based on the idea that anyone can sit in the back of a classroom and take notes, but the real work is actually done hands-on and working with the children. So as a piece of our IPEP program, there will be a nurturing family assessment that is done at the beginning of the IPEP course. And the mental health professional working with the parent will outline an education program tailored to meet that individual parent's needs, and will work with that parent for 6 to 8 weeks. And throughout that process, they may include the child or children in some sessions so that they can practice the skills that they are actually learning through the IPEP program. In addition, another slide that we inadvertently failed to include is, and we have been ordered to do more often, is our expedited child interviews. And what that will include is 2 individual meetings with the child, and ultimately a report that goes out to the court. Now, we are not sitting interrogating children in these interviews. We are actually engaging with them, talking about their feelings, talking about what they're going through, and then we're providing a report to the court as to the child and where the child is at and how the child is feeling and what the child's desires are. However, we are not making recommendations in those cases. Now, the Lane Project is really here to help the community. With that in mind, we also really pride ourselves on the caliber of services that we offer, which includes getting our staff regularly educated with continuing education, keeping them apprised of the newest research and literature on resist and refuse cases, and having an absolutely beautiful home that is accommodating to the family so that they can feel comfortable. But we also want to be able to offer our services to families who are in need. With that being said, what we have created is the Pass It On initiative. And so what that is if the Lane Project can fill our groups to capacity, then 80% of the participants will be paying participants and 20% of the participants will be offered the participation in our groups at no charge. So we have a 2-page questionnaire, and it includes such things as, their financial means, if they're receiving any assistance through the state, or if they have had any significant events in the last year that has depleted their financial resources. But also, given the slots are very limited, we also want to know the parent's real willingness to really do what he or she can to make a change for their children. So what sense of accountability does that person have? We have 3 individuals who review these applications. They will not be providing services for the families or direct services, and will determine if an applicant qualifies. Now, if we're at 80% and our 20% has been met, there will be overflow so that they can get on a waiting list for the next group. But that is the Lane Project's Pass It On initiative in order to help those families in need as well. We really appreciate your willingness to watch this, and please don't ever hesitate to reach out to any of us here at the Lane Project if you have any questions about any of our services or how we may help your family or a family that you know of. Naomi, do you have anything?
Trina, I just wanted to acknowledge you for the beautiful presentation that you just gave and all of that excellent information. Thank you so much.
Thank you for participating, Naomi. I appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful day.